In this episode of VCast Studio with Naveen Naqvi.
Why are we so passionately in love with democracy when we don't even have the prerequisites? As long as you put food on the table and people have a good life, do they really care? If you're not coaching your guys, it's not just work, generally on life also. If you're not coaching the guys, head बनने का क्या फायदा? थानेदार थोड़ी हो. You know, I used to go to our affiliate Gray's meeting and I used to say, your biggest regret, I said, being my own boss at an early stage because somebody had to tell me where I was wrong. हमारे यहाँ ये बहुत issue आ जाता है कि will I be the most popular to क्या करें?
Today we have in the studio Jamal Mir, the Managing Director and CEO of Prestige Communications, a leading advertising agency of Pakistan for over 60 years. He has worked with all the national and international brands operational in this country. He is also a founding member of the Advertising Association of Pakistan. Welcome to the VCast studio.
Thank you.
So let me try and tell you a little bit about what it is that we're doing here. The web series that we're creating aims to answer questions that interest young professionals who have aspirations to work their way towards executive level positions, and team leaders such as yourself that are committed to creating a generation that can take over the reins in this very competitive industry that you're working in. The first thing that I'd like to talk to you about, since we're talking about handing over the reins, your father was the one who created this agency, and now you've been part of the agency for around 35 years. So as a second generation advertiser yourself and head of a company, what is the importance of mentorship?
I think it's very critical. That again, I find a lot of people with a lot of talent and potential not being able to develop simply because there aren't too many mentors around. And they don't understand that you need to build people up. यहाँ खींचना जो है ना एक दूसरे को उस पर ज़्यादा टाइम स्पेंड हो रहा होता है because that's, you know, it's like a point scoring exercise going on. So I think even if you go to schools, when I interview people and I talk to them, why do you want to get into advertising? They don't have answers. You know, they're I'm really shocked. Guys have got MBA degrees and they really don't understand what the industry offers. They don't understand what the challenges the industry has. So it's like, I like to work because my friend is working there and he thinks it's a great place. My friend, your friend has a different career path. You have a different career path. You make your own calls, ask relevant questions. You know, like agencies also, when they come here and I say, why Prestige? Tell me. So don't tell me Procter and Gamble hai, don't tell me ye hai. What will you get out of it? What will you learn out of it? I said, look, there's going to be a lot of hard work. Ye sari agencies hain. Some of the main ones have multinational clients, very good. But then there isn't original work taking place there. There's a lot of adaptation there. So the different set of skills you require, the different things that you learn from there. You come to a few agencies where there's a higher percentage of local brands, there you will need a lot of thinking. So there's going to be a lot of hard work, especially in Pakistan when you don't have that support. So are you willing to go through those pains to learn and contribute? Because they won't be doing the two same things. So आपने study किया agency को actually कि where are you going? There's a lot of times I've sort of wanted to hire a person, came back and it's lack of maturity, because you start complaining about the other. It's nice to hear, your competitor being beaten up. So I would send him back and say to him, continue where you are. You're not going to get anything better at my place. What you're highlighting is an industry problem, not an agency-specific problem. If you told me an agency-specific problem, then I would understand. You didn't have a chance to work on a multinational brand. You thought here you're going to get a chance to work on a multinational brand. You will learn a few things. So there's a good enough reason for you to come in. इस वक्त तुम्हारी फ्रस्ट्रेशंस हैं और तुम्हें कोई मेंटोर नहीं कर रहा, कोई तुमसे बात नहीं कर रहा, तुम्हें समझा नहीं रहा, तो तुमने मतलब वो टिपिकल है ना स्कूल वाली बात कि टीचर ने अगर ज़रा रगड़ा तो बोला वो ख़राब टीचर है, तो तुमने कहा मैं छोड़ के चला जाऊँगा. ईगो है ना, तो get out of the ego fight of it. So there has to be a lot of schools में there's no counseling. I mean, good business schools and art schools.
Yes.
And when I've visited them, I've seen कि वहाँ कोई counseling है ही नहीं. As a matter of fact, they discourage people from coming into advertising. And these are teachers who have never worked for a good agency in the last 10 years or anything similar. तो क्या advice दे रहे हो? Why are you discouraging people?
Don't you feel that some universities are tackling that issue now? Like, for instance, Habib University.
I've
or
heard about it.
ones in
I
the-
haven't had a chance to go there. If they're doing it, it's excellent because that's what you really need. These people need to know. Acha, market mein, there aren't too many opportunities either. There are certain challenges of the market, the economic challenges there. So you have to be able to weather them through this, through your experience, explain to them, sort of reinforce, build them up to understand that it's going to be a turbulent time, which is for everyone. Doesn't matter it's an A380 or a 777, he has to go through it. So you have to be able to deal with it rather than becoming frustrated, stepping back, or going in different directions. So you really need a lot of that. And I've many a times spoken to the association and said, top 8-10 agencies, we should all visit schools and talk to the students. And जो भी उनके thoughts हैं मतलब about the business, clarify for them so they can make some sound choices how to move forward.
Let's talk about the Advertising Association of Pakistan. What kind of work is it doing in Pakistan?
Advertising Association of Pakistan, I honestly believe I've been part of it when I started my career, held senior positions. Then it flipped and got into we created a separate association. So we've gone through at least 3 different associations till I've come back to the association as of 3 years ago. So my view to the guys was, okay, this is a business. And it's a very good business because there's 3 generations who've lived after. You just said 60 years. Now 60 years is a lot of time for an organization to be in the market, especially in the advertising sector, which is not that developed. So you can imagine कि जो economically इतना robust नहीं है segment, उसमें 3 generation पल लें, and the kind of lifestyle and the education they've received. So the potential is enormous. We also hear one big issue with Pakistan is perception problem. तो perception problem यही तो लोग हैं, इनको ही तो build करना है. So I got back into the association. I brought my guys back. I said, look, things are bad. We haven't achieved what we were set out to achieve. Getting award ceremonies and doing those are not important. ठीक है होता है, उससे ज़रा निकल के skill set development में ज़्यादा आना है. Clients को educate करना है कि how to even compensate in the advertising sector. It's so funny. There are a lot of times when you send out your estimates and all, and these guys are arguing with you कि नहीं इतने का नहीं है. मैं कह यार सातकिन की प्रिंटिंग में जो लगे हुए ये फिगर ये तो सब जगह है, इसके इतने पैसे क्यों हैं? तुम बाल कटाने जाते हो कैंची तो वही है, शैम्पू तो वही है, तो उसके पैसे हाई क्यों हैं? So when you guys are exposed to brands and you have seen the value of it, तो creators हैं, उनको तुम अगर पैसे नहीं दोगे rightfully, तो कैसे वो आगे बढ़ेंगे सारे के सारे? So I mean, I believe we have to stand up as an industry. We need to put value into it. जो पिछले भी associations में जब discussions होती हैं, I used to argue with them. You guys will not live through discounting. Discounting is a very small, short-term gap, पर sort of आपको मिल जाता है area, but उससे ज़्यादा आपको value डालनी है. तो सारी एनर्जी कमीशंस को डिस्काउंट करना शुरू कर दिया, आर्टवर्क्स को डिस्काउंट करना शुरू कर दिया, मीडिया में से इट्स नॉट गुड. मीडिया का भी हाल यही है ना. ऑल दीज मीडिया बाइंग हाउसेस व्हिच हैज कम इन. माय क्वेश्चन टू देम इज हाउ मच हैव यू टेकन दैट मनी and reinvested in the channel or worked with them to create better content? You have just maximized your profits. That's all you've done. And there have been several instances all along where you've seen there's been a lot of financial irregularities within these setups. तो वो फिर क्यों हो रही है? मतलब पैसे सही जगह लगाओ ना. तो you're bringing down the value of it. Content wise भी आप देख लें. From 7 o'clock onwards till about midnight, all you're listening to is these political things. ठीक है, प्लेस भी बन रहे हैं, बट प्लेस में कोई इश्यूज भी तो लेकर आओ ना बनाने के लिए. I mean, I was there at Arts Council. इन्होंने वो उर्दू लिटरेचर पे किया था. So these ladies were talking about women empowerment and all that. I said the guys who are producing these plays and all, उनको समझ भी है ये इश्यूज कौन कौन से हैं ताकि वो इसमें इन्वेस्ट करें ना. Because you got to start somewhere. In India, you see a lot of stuff which is happening. They pick up issues, they build on it, they make sure the society learns. There's a bigger and several other things that needs to be tackled. It's not one area.
You've been talking about creators and how to build creators and so on. Can you tell me something about what is a good story, right? And are you actually at this time working on stories yourself? Because the thing is that, I mean, as an agency, Because I've also worked with advertising, and I feel that a lot of the times it's just a brief aata hai, and you work according to that brief, right? Or the storyboard is already given to you, or you just chapo it from the international campaign. Are we making stories over here?
बहुत कम. As an agency, I think when I pitch, my biggest story is that local brand successes जो मेरे पास हैं या मेरी एजेंसी के अंदर से निकली हैं is one of the highest number, be it Capri, be it Habib Oil, be it Milk Pack, Rose Petal, Super. For that, you need a certain degree of freedom to work with. And yes, people say कि client pretty much dictate करता है यहाँ सारी चीज़ें. और उसकी वजह बड़ी सीधी सी है कि at the agency level also we don't work hard enough to fight for our space. I've never had that problem, honestly speaking, in so many years. I had to pay a price, but that's fine. I was willing to pay the price because I want to own something. I can't be just doing adaptations. So I can go back and say कि Procter का मैंने बड़ा काम किया, but Procter की Pantene की फिल्म मैंने वो बनाई जो local developed थी. We refuse, and I give credit to the Procter guys who were the brand managers and all who we worked with. They fought for that case because, you know, one size fits all doesn't work for Pakistan. So we have our own realities and we need to change it. So it worked. But you have to go and fight this case out. A lot of people in today's time, I mean, I honestly, when I started, I thought that was probably the lowest point and I'm just going to grow with it. But unfortunately, from my experience with dealing all these clients, I think we've gone south.
Agency and client is very much a relationship of trust. And before, I think in the past, probably in your father's generation, that was much more apparent.
Absolutely.
Tell me now what it's like.
That gap is there. And I think, like I said, the budgets have gone up very high. So the focus is kind of taken the focus away from the real issues. So what trust level hai isliye bhi nahi because there's gap at every level. If I present you something at a brand manager's or a marketing manager's level and the boss doesn't like it, I think the ownership is on all of us, you know, because you also approved it. You brought it to a point where it was to be shown to the top guy. You can't absolve yourself at that stage and say, मुझे agency ने किया है. आपको own करना है. ठीक है, गलती होती है. We are in that kind of a business. You know, you can't, it's a very subjective area. And obviously how you're going to come to it is, how much is it meeting the objective you set for the brand? It can't be my personal preferences because that's another big discussion we always have with the local guys. They start telling you कि shot कैसे लेना था. You know, you're not a cameraman. And, you know, because every level you got to give space. I wrote the script. I allow the director to, you know, sort of put his input in it. Director even listens to the DOP because he's shot so many things. He can also give him good guidance. Ke, I've done several commercials. This may be a better shot. So unless you don't open that up, and there's a trust level in each other's skills and why we are working as a team, तो काम नहीं होगा because the stage comes in, then you all go back reverse thinking कि यार approval करानी है, तो इसने sign करना है estimate पे जो ये कह रहा है वो कर दो ताकि check through हो जाए. So that doesn't work. No? That can't build value. And there's always an element of risk because कौन सा brand है, global brand है, which hasn't gone through the dips. Everybody has done it. So you must understand the risk of this business, and then you accordingly work. I mean, I have a great. I mean, initially, मैं एक shoot कर रहा था overseas, and I was trying to seek an insurance for my work कि ऐसे ही होगी, अच्छी बनेगी film, उसी तरह तुम्हारी show reel दे. After listening to me for half an hour, the director came back and said, "Let me tell you something, Noah. It's going to be your funeral." And I'm saying, "What?" Instead of giving me encouragement, telling me it's my. He said, "Look, there's no guarantee. The creative director was a different one from the film that you're seeing. Your creative director is not the same. The budget is very different. The inputs from the director is very different. The one I'm DOP, I'm going to. So just focus on what you are doing and see what I can get. What am I saying vis-a-vis your project? Don't start comparing with something which can't be compared to. And you have to make that call. Because in this business, Coke has got unsuccessful and successful campaigns. Every top brand has done it. So they know how to fix it. Probability is very high that they won't fail too many times because they have the experience. And if they do fail occasionally, they accept it. That's part of the game. I mean, they go back and redraw the picture. हमारे यहाँ होता है कि every campaign, everything should give you ultimate. It can't. I mean, look at the market shares. 100% तो किसी का नहीं है ना. तो कोई ना कोई तो gap है किधर ना किधर. So it's an ongoing game. So maximum you will go to 25 20-30% इन कंपेरेटिव मार्केट, इससे ज़्यादा क्या करोगे? तो दैट प्रोसेस, द होल थिंग, हमारा भी एक्सपेंस का कॉन्सेप्ट है एडवर्टाइजिंग का, कि खर्चा है बस, वो सेल हो गई तो वी मेट आवर टारगेट। नहीं, सेल नहीं होगी ना। इफ दैट कुड हैव बीन द पर्पस ऑब्जेक्टिव, तो द इंटरनेशनल ब्रांड्स डोंट नीड टू एडवर्टाइज फॉर 2 to 3 years. Everybody knows them. So why do they constantly spending money? फेंकने को तो नहीं आए पैसे उनको, but they understand the value. यहाँ ये एजुकेट करने के लिए एसोसिएशन के लेवल पे it's very you need to come there and keep engaging, having these conversations then. It's not going to change overnight. I mean, पूरा निज़ाम ऐसे ही है ना सारा का सारा। तो मगर आपको अपनी बैटल तो लड़नी है ना, आप उसको ओपन स्पेस तो नहीं दे सकते। गवर्नमेंट की एडवर्टाइजिंग, दे स्पेंड सो मच मनी, all wasted. So my question is, उसकी सिलेक्शन प्रोसेस बहुत पुअर है।
सिलेक्शन प्रोसेस ट्रांसपेरेंट होनी चाहिए।
ट्रांसपेरेंट होनी चाहिए। पीपल सिटिंग आउट देयर शुड हैव एक्सपीरियंस टू डिसाइड कि एडवर्टाइजिंग कैंपेन्स किस तरह डिसाइड है। अगर आप PID के लोग देखेंगे, उनको कोई एक्सपीरियंस ही नहीं है। एंड आई वॉज वेरी फॉर्चुनेट व्हेन आई वाज द हेड ऑफ द एसोसिएशन 3 years ago. I had a conversation with a lady over here in Karachi at the PID. She was very positive, and when I sat down, she said, "आप आइएगा मेरे ऑफिस, ज़रा बताइएगा." When I sat down there, I thought, ये PID इतना बड़ा बजट रन कर रहे हैं, इनको कोई क्लू ही नहीं है कि किस तरह काम कैसे किया जाता है। तो how will we?
So what's the way around that? Just have people who are more qualified.
They should get. I told her, it's okay, you should get a few people. There's a lot of professionals who are retired. Take advantage of them. Get them as consultants. Get them on board. So there's a huge budget of advertising, and you see it, no? Because majority of the campaigns are being run out of Islamabad with agencies who have never worked for private sector, who don't understand in a competitive environment how to operate. It's very funny कि सारी top 10 agencies कराची में बैठी जो multinationals के साथ national के साथ डील करती आ रही हैं 60 साल से 30 साल से, are not part of that process because they just don't pitch for it because the whole process is flawed. So क्या करेंगे जाके?
We've been talking a lot about empowerment. So I'm interested as a woman myself. What is the kind of gender balance in the industry? There's still a lot of, it's still a very male-oriented leadership. Are you seeing more women coming in?
There are a lot of women coming in. There's absolutely, things are changing. Also, I think in the creative field with schools like Indus Valley and all, and even the local business schools, a lot of girls are coming in and contributing, brilliantly in design. They're doing very well in strategy side, creative side, client servicing side. Client servicing में in the past problem यही होती थी कि the nature of our business is such, printer के पास जाना, late night production पे जाना, so a lot of people were not comfortable with the environment.
So you think that women are coming in,
Yeah,
and,
they're coming in,
and there are opportunities
they're contributing, they're doing that, and I think just the environment overall, even if you go at other in banks and you go to other clients, there's enough women coming in, so it's a more good, comfortable mix to engage with.
We've also been talking about education. So, I don't want to have you repeat what you've already said, but so to look at it from a different angle, what is the relevance of design degrees in the field of advertising, do you feel?
I think it's very important because in the past, people they were technically very sound, but their ability to conceive and understand a brand and its personality was lacking, which a lot of these design schools, when people have gone there, they have sort of exposed them to those elements of the design. So I think that has been very helpful. Some of the people coming out of these design schools, be it Karachi School of University से भी आ रहे हैं, art के area से, getting people out of Indus. Again, quality is not growing as it should be. वही ethics की बात है, level की बात है, because अगर आप 10 years and beyond जाएं, पीछे जाएं, तो they're much stronger people coming out. अब वो चीज़ नहीं है, and I hear it from a lot of teachers at these schools that the kids are just, degree is just to sort of wrap up and have something lying there and not really take that kind of interest. So that should, schools have that responsibility to ensure that the faculty is correct, they guide and they ensure the standards are high. Because it's not a matter of okay, 25 को तो पास कराना है, पूरी क्लास फेल हो जाती तो हो जाए फेल, और क्या पढ़ने वाला है. they need to have some skill sets to move forward. They can't be sent off with poor skills. So वो issue है, but there have been, a lot of good people coming out. I've had several girls coming out of Indus Valley, and they're just outstanding. I just really enjoyed the work that I do with them.
That's good to hear. Do you think that, worldwide it's known that advertising, it can shape minds, challenge norms? Is that something that is happening in Pakistan? I remember distinctly, for instance, that there were certain things that you couldn't talk about in ads at all before that were taboo. You couldn't, for instance, say the word period in an ad. So as the society is changing, the ads are changing, or is it the other way around? Is advertising the one that is challenging the norms and changing, bringing the change?
That's an interesting one, because somebody asked me this question years ago on a different, same thing, does the media reflect the society or society reflect the media? So I think the response, unfortunately, the society has changed. So therefore, there's more acceptability, primarily because a lot of channels have come in जो satellite के हैं, तो उन पे वो सेंसर के जो क्लॉजेज नहीं रखते पाकिस्तान के वाले, तो उससे बचत होगी. वरना जब पुराना पाकिस्तान सेंसर बोर्ड था ना, they used to literally at times, it was very frustrating with certain campaigns, used to see the commercial in stop frames to be able to criticize and ask for a changeover. And I said, ये moving picture है. So see it in a moving picture concept. If you start snapping it step frame by frame, then your imagination can be very fertile and create a problem for us to work. तो वो उससे भी काफ़ी बचत हुई है कि we could circumvent a lot of the censor code which is used to be there, the censor boards everywhere. Films have gone through that hell, plays and everything. So they are not, they don't see how the world is moving and how we need to move. If they do that, yeah, things are changing.
When we talk about how the world is moving, we're seeing that the world in general is becoming a more and more and highly competitive space, right? And here at the VCast studio, we're interested in seeing how Pakistan can expand on and contribute to this global growth. How do you think that would be possible for Pakistan? And don't say that it's not possible. Say, how is it possible?
No, that's a question I keep asking. Especially, this is a great time when the elections are about to happen in a week's time, and you hear all these people who sort of shape the policies and allow the industries to grow, to come out and sort of do it. We are in a big dilemma. We want to change, but they are in the environment में बड़ा delicately, intelligently move करना पड़ेगा to be able to start the process. And that process is going to be nothing less than at least 20 years for us to see that stability, that continuity on certain areas, and to be able to come on the stage. Yes, you see individually, यही Pakistani, when he goes and works overseas, excels. He's regional head of a multinational. तो वो फिर कैसे बनता है? Because उसको environment अच्छी मिलती है. तो यहाँ इन्वायरमेंट में जब तक वो पॉलिसीज़ जो बननी चाहिए वो बनेंगी नहीं, तो आगे कैसे बढ़ेंगे हम? एंड आई हैव सीन इट अगेन, लाइक आई सेड, बीन ऑन exposure at a board level of national institutions, and the kind of conversations which go on there and the kind of understanding that the government gives is very poor. You literally say to them is, your mindset is very subsidy grant oriented, and you do not allow people to perform and judge them on their competitiveness and their ability to find a space. तो वो जब तक चीज़ें नहीं चेंज होएंगी और हम 24 घंटे उस खौफ में बैठे रहेंगे कि मेरी सीट ना चली जाए, मैं निकल ना जाऊं, तो फिर कैसे काम चलेगा? Today, interestingly, we see during the elections everybody promising a lot of goodies. And I say to them all, I thought I heard all of you say economically we're in a very bad state. So if you're in a very bad state, how are you going to dish out all these benefits? Why are you lying? Why don't you come straight? Somebody needs to speak the truth. And to some extent, it didn't work out very well. I was part of the lawyers' movement, not because I supported an individual, but I thought the process of justice and fair play should come in and transparency. And when I did that journey with the lawyers from Lahore to Pindi and all, and I was amazed at the amount of people who came out in the middle of the night in small towns on the way. And you ask yourself the question, कि इनको मिलेगा क्या खाली बाहर निकलने के रात के 3 बजे 2 बजे. It's that hope. It's that hope, and none of them are going to benefit from anything directly immediately. मगर वो जो उनको डिप्राइव किया गया है इतने सालों से, जो उनके राइट्स हैं. And today we move around, we watch television, we go to Dubai, we're exposed, we know what standard of livings are, what can be offered, what should be out in the market. You anywhere in the world. सबसे ज़्यादा तो मतलब अनफॉर्चुनेट चीज़ है कि पाकिस्तानी के लिए सबसे आसान जाना है दुबई. सो यू ऑलरेडी बेंच मार्किंग योरसेल्फ एट वेरी हाई लेवल्स. तो अब वो सोच रहा है वहाँ जो टैक्सी ड्राइवर है, जो वर्कर है, कि यार दिस इज़ लाइफ, मुझे क्यों नहीं मिल रही है लाइफ. तो दैट फ्रस्ट्रेशन इज गोइंग टू ग्रो मोर. सो आई थिंक we as a nation, we all need to sit down and come to an agreement. जो हम हमेशा स्लोगन में कहते हैं ना, पाकिस्तान comes first, तो पर पाकिस्तान comes first ना. अभी none of you guys, it's good to talk about it. Well, nobody's walked the talk, kind of a thing. So अभी भी मतलब you go out there and you're saying, how will you dish out all this thing? You all said that we were close to bankruptcy about a year and a half ago. श्रीलंका की मिसाल दे रहे थे और सब कह सत्यानाश हो गया, ये हो गया, और सत्यानाश किसी एक ने नहीं किया, सबने जॉइंटली किया ना. तो नॉट एवरीबडीज sort of they all need to unite to be able to put it together. And let's give everybody the youth, and we say the youth, I mean that's our future, that's economy, that middle class जिसके ऊपर सब दुनिया चलती है. तो उसको जब आप इकोनॉमिक स्ट्रेंथ नहीं दोगे तो कहाँ से चलेगा वो. और a lot of these things जो मैं पैसों उसकी compensation की बात कर रहा हूँ, at the end of the day it's economics in today's world. If the economics is not right, nothing is going to happen.
The economics has to be right.
इसके बगैर काम चल नहीं सकता. I think we were there in Almaty, Euro-Asia Media Conference, and the Chinese came up and he said, I believe in the D also, and everybody snickered, कि यार D China बोल रहा है democracy. He said development. As long as you put food on the table and people have a good life, do they really care? I mean, democracy, why are we so passionately in love with democracy when we don't even have the prerequisites? And leak one, school of leadership ने कहा ना, democracy doesn't end at the ballot box. It's after the ballot box is what democracy is all about. तो हम तब तक democracy को खाली ballot box तक लेकर गए हैं, और वो भी half honest and half stuffed. How will we work there?
We should make it an electronic process. Then that's what they don't want to do. Acha, tell me a little bit about having been in the industry for so long, and while Prestige is a brand in itself, so is Jamal Mir.
I don't know about that part.
Yeah. So how do you build a personal brand? And what kind of, how do you achieve a work-life balance in doing that?
It's a tough one here. I think it's a process. It's like any other brand. As long as you can consistently deliver over a period of time, and your out delivery is reassured, then only can you become a brand. So if I contribute, and I have gone around, like I said, associations में थोड़ा सा disenchanted था, तो फिर मैं American Business Council चला गया, just to get a bigger exposure के होता क्या है सारा का सारा. So these kind of things I keep doing to come across people who are more enlightened, good experience. Doesn't matter, I may be the weakest guy in the link, but I'm learning. I always tell people, go out there, and I tell a lot of my colleagues, and I tell a lot of young people who come to the agency, they always tell me, we hear you're very tough. I'm not tough at all. I can show you my core group who's worked with me for over 10 years, and I can show you the guys who succeeded globally and are today in a better job position than I'm running this agency. They've worked for me 5 years plus. Your work ethics are poor. If you get your strong work ethics, and your standard in this country, it's a glass half empty, half full. You got to see it's half full. You got to sell yourself because you are exposed. You have the internet, you travel. बेंचमार्क है क्या? आप बेंचमार्क अपना सेट करो, क्योंकि यहाँ आपका बेंचमार्क नहीं मिलेगा आपको, तो उसकी तैयारी, मेंटोर्स भी इतने नहीं मिलेंगे आपको सारे के सारे, क्योंकि अगेन इन द ऑफिस आल्सो आई टेल माय हेड ऑफ डिपार्टमेंट्स, इफ यू आर नॉट कोचिंग योर गाइज, इट्स नॉट जस्ट वर्क, जनरली ऑन लाइफ आल्सो, इफ यू आर नॉट कोचिंग द गाइज, हेड बनने का क्या फ़ायदा? थानेदार थोड़ी हो. The guy needs to be inspired by you. He wants to go back and tell a friend, okay, my head of department is very good. I really learned a lot from him. And if he's not doing that, if he's not going back and telling his friends how great it is to work with you, what's the point?
So after having this lengthy and detailed conversation with you, can you tell me, or rather tell the young people who are watching this show and wanting to be in executive positions in their lives, do you have any words of advice on how to go about starting a career in advertising and working towards a leadership role?
Again, I think one thing which is very important is to be honest to yourself and know where you stand and what's your journey, what your destination is going to be. You also have to understand that you, while pursuing that goal, there will be obstacles on the way, there will be hardships. You're not to get discouraged by them and not to get distracted by them. You got to be strong enough to believe in yourself and continue with it. I went through that experience myself simply because I got into this business because my father passed away, so I had to take over being the eldest. I had no experience in advertising. And when I look back at my journey, and it's very clear, firstly, I knew very honestly, I'm not the CEO. ये तो default CEO है. So I needed to learn a lot. So I used to spend a lot of time trying to learn the art and see how I can survive. I was very fortunate. I had a great mentor in Sayyid Asad Ali at Treat Corporation, Amjad Ali Saab San. He was very helpful in sort of carving my career because we were working on Treat, Talo and Capri. So you got to look for a teacher also. You got to look for a mentor who can sort of guide you through that process. And you should always be searching for excellence, benchmarking it yourself कि कहाँ जाना है मुझे. तो I think ये एक process चलता रहे, and obviously as you take steps, you learn from your mistakes, you sort of take comfort from your successes, you start building yourself up. Because this industry में there's a lot of hard work, and you should never be afraid of the hard work, because we tend to give up very fast. And I tell my guys, I say, look, you want a good body, you got to exercise. And it's not 10 push-ups, it's 20 push-ups. That will do it. Don't go back saying मैं 5 कर सकता था, आज मैं 10 कर ली. वो कहता है, कोच कहता है नहीं 25 है the benchmark की. So you got to set those benchmarks correctly. Not sort of say कि I have done it. It's not about you. It's about you competing in the market. So you've got to build that, strength in yourself. So I think things like that are very, very, very essential. And you got to be open-minded. You've got to be open-minded and never sort of, कहते हैं ना कि अच्छा टीचर वही होता है जो रगड़ता है आपको. तो जब रगड़ पड़ रही होती है ना, so you've got to see it as learning rather than your ego being hurt and saying कि नहीं मैं छोड़ दूंगा, मैं इसके साथ काम नहीं करूँगा. So I think those things in the earlier part really helped me. I used to search for people who I could learn from. आज भी मैं यही करता हूँ. मैंने कहा ना, I went to the American Business Council and all, and right now on the board of PSO and all. It was more on learning, and I found some very good people around, and I sort of picked the guys I think among this whole set. इससे मैं सीख सकता हूँ. He's the kind of person who's willing to impart knowledge. He's the kind of person who's going to guide me. तो आपको वो देखना बहुत ज़रूरी है, because that's a really formula to success. Otherwise, you can be very easily misled, because this market is all about polishing things up, and you tend to think that you're bigger than what you really are. And वो अगर आपके अंदर है ना, अपने आप को रोज in the morning you see yourself in the mirror and say, no, I'm less than what people out there are making me look like. So it works better.
So be honest to yourself, open-minded and
Hard work.
focused.
Hard work. Yeah.
Hard work. Okay. And having been in the industry for 35 years and being part of a legacy agency, what would you say when you reflect upon your career? How would you summarize it?
It's been a tough journey, but at the end of the day, when I look back and ask myself what I contributed, what opportunities I got, I'm fairly satisfied from where I started, in the situation I started in. The kind of client list I had, the associations global I had, the forums I was, sort of given access to, So I think it's in a market like Pakistan and not having any support as such, on your own you're doing it. So it gives me a lot of comfort, though the frustrations also, because I feel much more could have been achieved. If the talent pool in this country was rich, you could have worked with them. You had a better opportunity to engage with people, because running your own businesses over here, sometimes you are stuck because the quality, I mean, advising me, if I were working for a multinational, the pool around me would have been far more competitive, far more superior in their skill sets and all. तो वो learning बढ़ जाती है. यहाँ बिकॉज एडवर्टाइजिंग इंडस्ट्री में एक या दो ही लोगों के पास एजेंसी में 4 बंदे होते हैं जो रियली आर समबडी यू कैन टॉक एंड ग्रो विद, तो वो एक सॉर्ट ऑफ अ नेगेटिव पार्ट आ जाता है कि it's not that competitive overall. It can't be that I know all wali scenario. So sometimes I used to go to our affiliate Gray's meeting and I used to say your biggest regret, I said, being my own boss at an early stage, because somebody had to tell me where I was wrong. So that was a bit of a challenge there.
When you say that the talent pool is limited, is it because do you think that the more talented people are choosing to leave Pakistan and work abroad?
नहीं, वो ठीक है, वो तो हर जगह लोग मूवमेंट होती है, बट आई पर्सनली फील वी आर नॉट डेवलपिंग इनफ पीपल, वी आर नॉट डेवलपिंग स्किल सेट. अगर होएगा तो ठीक है, आते जाते रहते हैं, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता.
जो आते हैं उनसे क्या सीखते हैं हम, जो जाते हैं वहाँ पे एंड हु कम बैक, पीपल हु रिटर्न
तो बहुत कम ही आते हैं. कौन आते हैं?
मैं बैठी हूँ ना सामने.
रिटर्न इतना नहीं है, अब जितना पिछले 1-2 साल में बाहर गया है. आई मीन I tell people who work overseas, I mean friends, their kids, don't come back right now. Stay overseas. Reason being, there's a far greater learning out there than here at the moment. So unless the system improves, it's a very tough battle. You go and live overseas and meet people. There's a refreshing thing. Your mind is stimulated, you see new things, you hear new ideas. I mean, I was visiting a friend's daughter in Oxford and me and him was having lunch out there. And the kind of topics that was being discussed by kids were amazing. And I was saying, yeah, we're holding the conversation. Look at the things they're discussing. Look at the quality of the discussion. So, you learn a lot. Yeah, learning point of view say, I feel the way the journey I've gone through, it's limited learning. That element isn't there.
How can that be changed?
It's a long process. Your education system, your way the country's policies are built, allowing more freedom for people to talk. Media में देखें ना, मीडिया का रोल जो एक्चुअली है वो तो नहीं कर रहे ना. So, I mean, you see even those programs, look at the guests they bring in, look at the quality of discussion, look at the level of moderation which is going on. So you need to bring those people on board ताकि लोगों का mental जो level है वो expand करे, वो real issues की side पे आए, उन challenges को मतलब देखे. And there are good stories out there, ऐसी बात नहीं है, मगर उसके बारे में बात कौन करता है? लेकर आना मीडिया में कोई ऐसा प्रोग्राम आप करते हैं जो स्टार्टअप्स या नई लोग आए हुए हैं उनको आप प्रोजेक्ट करते हैं. आई रिमेंबर फ्लाइंग इनटू दुबई ऑन एमिरेट्स एंड आई वाज रीडिंग थ्रू इंडिया टुडे, एंड इंडिया टुडे कवर्ड 10-12 people who from different walks of life, from the bureaucratic side, from the private sector, from other people, from social sector, who made success stories in different villages and places. तो मैंने कहा इस मुल्क में भी तो काम हो रहा है ना, ऐसी बात नहीं, तो उसकी स्टोरी क्यों नहीं लिखते हो, उसको एक्सपोजर क्यों नहीं देते हो, ताकि पीपल स्टार्ट बिलीविंग कि इट्स पॉसिबल, आई कैन डू इट टू, बिकॉज दिस पर्सन इज डन इन पाकिस्तान, आई कैन डू इट इन पाकिस्तान. वो आप स्टोरी नहीं देते. आप अपने अखबार खोल लें, अपना टीवी खोल लें और आप कहें यार रोज़ तुम यहाँ नेगेटिव स्टोरियाँ लिख रहे हो, एक सर्टन पोर्शन तो लगाओ ना, डेडिकेट अ सर्टन अमाउंट ऑफ एडिटोरियल इन द गुड स्पेस, नॉट इन द कॉर्नर, इन द गुड स्पेस टू टॉक अबाउट द ग्रेट स्टोरीज इन पाकिस्तान. तो फिर वो
that's what we're trying to do over here.
So, you need to bring in people and they need to be, enough of that needs to be talked about. Your front pages and your headline stories should not be about bomb blast and these kind of things. वो रहेंगे ठीक है, मगर बाकी भी स्टोरियाँ हैं ना, पॉजिटिव स्टोरियाँ तो लगाओ, तो मीडिया की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है. आप इतने शो कर रहे होते हो रोज, पॉलिटिकल डिस्कशन, यू नो इट्स full of lies and waste of time.
The system is rigged.
I'm just going. I wouldn't give them. If you are such a youth है जिसने आगे बढ़ना है, जिस मुल्क में परफॉर्म करना है, रीजन में देखें सारे बाकी मुल्क बढ़ रहे हैं, तो why aren't you bring those stories out? ऐसी बात तो नहीं है कि सारी खराब है. A lot of good jobs have been done. Even वो लियारी के बच्चे जो जीत कर आ गए थे वहाँ से लैटिन अमेरिका से. What a story! I mean, I heard those kids at my client's office. Amazing kids. बताओ उसको क्यों मीडिया नहीं कवर कर रहा, बड़ा क्यों नहीं प्रोग्राम कर रहा उसके ऊपर. I don't want to see 4 politicians and तजिया निगार over there talking about an issue, and you know that कि वो जो ये बात कर रहा है, जो जवाब दे रहा है, उसमें ट्रूथ है नहीं, मगर वो 1 घंटा ख़त्म करना है तो we keep letting it run all over the place.
So these are the things that need
they need to. The media needs to really take a strong role in this whole show. I said that उसमें जब मैंने अमन की आशा में देखा था टाइम्स ऑफ इंडिया का, they dedicated certain areas for the stories which will enable the people to understand why an open economy. They would understand why brand India is important. I mean, I went for a couple of brand Pakistan sessions with the government, and it's about who's going to control the budget. Focus on the issue, get the research done. There's certain goodness, let's talk about it. तो वो टिपिकल वही होता है कि बजट कौन कंट्रोल करेगा.
And what would be your, as we wrap up, what would be the words that you would like to say for team leaders? We've talked about what young professionals should be doing. What are your words for team leaders?
See, team leaders, I definitely believe they need to inspire. They need to put those principles of honesty, hard work in place. They should not worry about being popular. They should be more worried about developing skill sets. हमारे यहाँ ये बहुत issue आ जाता है कि will I be the most popular? Popularity क्या करना है? अगर आप किसी की ज़िंदगी में change अच्छा ला सकते हो and he realizes it, शुरू में सबको problem होती है. So they need to empower, they need to encourage people, but at the same time, they need to be strict also on things. Disciplines are very necessary also. Discipline, but unfortunately we see discipline as military rule. No, discipline is not military rule. Discipline is focused on your objectives. Discipline is doing your research. Discipline in building your standards. So not deviating from that. That to me, that is discipline. हमारे यहाँ, because we've lived under that environment, the minute you say discipline, everybody freaks out. They think you were talking about military. No, we're not talking about military. So that's the unfortunate part.